Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Just to give you an update that we have this Wi-Fi in the masjid which is not working because of the storm. We are still didn't fix this or didn't get time to fix it. So I'm connecting through my mobile hotspot. That is why the voice may be affected, voice quality. Please let me know. Then I can repeat what I say, inshallah ta'ala. So, welcome back again. Thanks for joining us. So, this is the day 3 of our Fiqh of Zakat class. And today we'll go over some of the stuff about Zakat on gold, Zakat on trade goods, and any questions we'll discuss inshallah ta'ala. So, go back to slide number this. Yesterday we talked about passing over lunar year. We talked about zakatable wealth. Okay, so today actually we're going to deep dive into the gold and silver, zakat and nisab for gold and silver. We mentioned yesterday that the gold and silver is the nisab is 85 grams and silver is 595 grams. So there are hadith on those, why they become 85 and 595. There are couple of hadith. One hadith I'll mention inshallah ta'ala. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has mentioned in Abu Dawud hadith collected by Abu Dawud. Ali radiallahu anha, Ali radiallahu anhu reported that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that if you have 200 dirham and one full year has passed, then 5 dirham are due on them. So here 200 dirham and 5 dirham, which is 2.5%. And then Rasulullah continued mentioning that you do not have to pay anything unless you have 20 dinar. If you have 20 dinars and one full year has passed, then half a dinar is due on them. And if the number increases, then work it out on that basis. So we see that for dinar also, so dinar is gold coin. For 20 dinars, half a dinar is zakat. So again, we get 2.5% here. And this 20 dinar, so what's the weight of those 20 dinars? I have written it here. 20 dinars gold coin is approximately 85 grams, which is the closest approximation by the majority of the scholars. And 200 dirham, again, dirham is silver coin. So 200 dirhams weight is about 595 grams, which is also the closest approximation by the majority. The exact number is not, there is no consensus on an exact number, but this is the majority. There is another valid measurement exists, which is 87 grams of gold and 612 grams of silver. So sometimes you may be hearing from other lectures, maybe talking about 87 grams. So that is also there in another valid opinion. But most of the scholars accept this number 85 grams and 595 grams of silver, 85 grams of gold and 595 grams of silver. Now gold, so the question can be that if the gold is, if I have a jewelry and there is 18 karat gold instead of 24 karat gold, pure gold is 24 karat. And if it is not pure gold, it could be 18 karat, 14 karat, 12 karat. So we have to do the calculations again. I have put a sample calculation here. If we have 100 grams of gold of 18 karat, then it will be actually 100 times 18 by 24, which is 75 grams of 24 karat gold. So basically, if I have 100 grams of 18 karat gold, I am below the nisab. So generally, some of the jewelries purchased in the United States have 18 carats of gold. In India, I think they're mostly 22 karat gold. Even in that case also, we have to do this calculation to make sure that we are above the nisab. So that is nisab for gold and silver. Now nisab for currency. Nisab for currency. Since there was no other currency except gold coin and silver coins exist that time, the currency, as we talked about last time, that the cash or paper money did not exist. So paper money takes the ruling of gold or silver. So on theory, it can be gold or silver. So which one do we take? Again, for 85 grams of gold, the approximate cost is $7,500. $7,500, which is actually in Indian currency, rupees 6.3 lakhs. And 595 grams of silver is approximately $600, and which is also in Indian currency 50,000, 52,000 rupees. And this is the calculation as of yesterday, approximation 85 times 87 and 595 times 1.01. So now as we can see that if I take gold as the Nisab, then Nisab for cash is $7,500. But if I take silver as the Nisab for cash is going to be $600. So if we take silver, that may put a poor person, or actually poor person, as a rich category. Because $600 actually is not, we don't consider, at least here in this in the United States, that a person having $600 is a rich person. So that's another disadvantage of taking silver as the currency, as the Nisab for currency. And same way, if in Indian currency, if we take $52,000, which is again very less amount, if a person has that, we cannot consider him to be a rich person that exempt from receiving zakat. So that's one point. The second point is silver is more stable than, gold is more stable than silver. Silver's price goes up and down, whereas gold is more stable. Because of these two reasons, most of the current fiqh organizations recommend taking gold as the nisab for currency. Taking gold as the nisab for currency. And as for example, I put here, there is a International Islamic Fiqh Academy in Jeddah. They recommend this. And there are various other fiqh organizations. In the modern fiqh organizations, they actually recommend taking gold as the nisab for currency. But then there are some other scholars who take a different approach too, which is also, a different take. They say they use the one that has lower value for piety and safety. So if we take silver, that means I'll be giving more frequently, even if I have way below $7,500 cash, but I am above $600, I can still give. So those who want to take that approach, that is totally fine. But most of the scholars actually take gold as the nisab for currency. Moving on, this guy here. Now, zakat on gold, jewelry for personal use. This is a controversial issue, but inshallah, we'll try to shed some light on this. If a woman has gold jewelry, which is more than nisab, does she have to give zakat? Hanafi madhab says that yes, she has to give zakat. Whereas Maliki, Shafi, and Hanbali madhab says that no, that she doesn't have to give zakat. So why this difference in opinion? Let's dive into some of the hadith and see what arguments both sides present. The hadith that Hanafi scholars present, there are two hadiths I'll mention here, inshallah ta'ala. One day Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came home, and Aisha radiallahu anha was wearing some silver ring, big silver ring on her finger. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked, "Oh Aisha, what is that?" Aisha radiallahu anha said that this is the jewelry that I'm wearing for you, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked, "Do you pay zakat on it? Or did you pay zakat on it?" She said no. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that this is enough for you to be punished in the hellfire. So that hadith clearly indicates that the gold jewelry is zakatable. Gold jewelry for women is zakatable. There is another hadith where a Sahabi came actually to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Woman Sahaba came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and her daughter was wearing some gold ring, big thick gold ring or bracelet, wearing two gold bracelets. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked, does she pay zakat on it? And they replied that no, she doesn't pay zakat. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that these, if you do not pay zakat, then these bangles, the gold bangles, will be heated in hellfire and will be put on you as a punishment. And then they actually said, okay, this is, they got, they did not know that. They said, yeah, O Rasulullah, this is for you and for Allah, for fi sabilillah, for you and for Allah. So they gave the jewelry as a sadaqah, whole thing as a sadaqah. So these two hadith exist towards the argument, favoring the arguments for Hanafi scholars. But the Maliki, Shafi, and Hanbali scholars, they go by the principle. The principle says that if any item that we use on a regular basis, if you have some personal items that we use, then there is no zakat on them. Anything, like I use car, no zakat. I use house, no zakat. I have lots of clothes, there is no zakat. Then if I have some jewelry, there will be no zakat also. So that is their argument. Imam Muhammad actually also mentioned there are some Sahabas who did not take zakat on gold jewelry. So both sides have their arguments for and against this. But we feel that because of the presence of this hadith, by the way, the first hadith that I mentioned, where Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told Aisha about the requirement of giving zakat on the gold jewelry, that hadith, some of the scholars have doubted whether or not it is authentic. But this hadith is actually authenticated by Sheikh Albani, our great Sheikh, great Muhaddith. Sheikh Albani actually has authenticated. And second hadith is also authenticated by Sheikh Albani. The current scholars say, the modern scholars say that even if the first hadith was doubtful, it can be said that the hadith is can be acceptable because of the evidence from other hadith. So that is why they take this hadith. And also Sheikh Albani is a renowned scholar of hadith, and he has authenticated this hadith. So we take that hadith as authentic hadith. So these are the two arguments that we have. And because of the two hadiths that we mentioned, it is safer and stronger position, or safer to give zakat on gold jewelry. And Hanafi position is stronger here. How about men's gold jewelry? Do we pay zakat on them? Yes, men's gold jewelry is zakatable by consensus. The reason being that men's gold jewelry, for men, it is haram to wear gold jewelry. So anything that is haram, if I have haram use of a gold, that is zakatable. How about non-gold items, non-gold silver jewelry, like diamond or any other metals? There is a question. I did not get a chance, or did not see the question yesterday, similar to this question. If we have diamond jewelry or some other precious materials, precious metals, there is no zakat on them. Even if that is very, very expensive, it may be like some of the precious metals are more expensive than gold, but yet there is no zakat on them because we don't find any evidence. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best on which to put zakat on and on which not to put zakat. So that is the gold jewelry. Okay, how about gold utensils or gold bar? Yes, they are zakatable. Again, gold utensils, they are haram to use. So we have to pay zakat on them. By the way, if a man wears gold jewelry, he is committing sin. That's a different matter. But he has to pay zakat on the gold. So when the zakat collector comes, he has to pay zakat. He cannot say that this is a gold jewelry for me, even if they follow non-Hanafi madhab, because gold for men is haram. The same way, gold utensils are haram to use, so we have to give zakat on them. As for gold bar, this is purely for investment. There is zakat on them. How about any non-permissible gold use? I mean, if I use gold in a non-permissible way, something I made which is not haram to use, anything of that sort, like gold utensils is one of the examples. So any of such non-permissible use of gold, we have to give zakat on them. Now, zakat calculation for gold, silver, and currency. So when we calculate zakat on them, first we have to see whether or not we have nisab. We have reached the nisab. To calculate nisab, we have to add all three types, meaning that gold, silver, currency, and trade goods. Trade goods also has to be added to this. because trade goods are zakat are calculated just like currency. That is why the scholars say we add all three and trade goods, so basically 4 items, to calculate if we have reached the nisab. And when you add them, we just basically have to do the value of those, like gold value in cash, silver value in cash, trade goods value in cash, and add the cash to see how much we have. If it is more than nisab, and then the nisab is $7,500 as of today. It will change if the gold value changes. As of today, it is $7,500 or 6.3 Indian rupees, 6.3 lakhs Indian rupees. And zakat rate is 2.5% or 1 by 40 times on each of them, or we can give on the whole value. If gold is 18 karat, then we have to calculate it accordingly. I have to actually swipe this. I'm not able to see the slide. Let me just do this. Yeah. If gold is 18 karat, excuse me, we have to calculate accordingly. So again, the same example, 100 grams of 18 karat gold is equal to 75 grams of 24 karat gold. So then I basically have to multiply 75 times 87, whatever the value that is, plus the cash and plus silver value and the trade goods. Whatever that value comes, we just have to, excuse me, to give 2.5% of that as zakat. Okay, I have some examples here, real examples. Zakat on gold, silver, and money. Let's say I have 100 grams gold, which is non-jewelry. This is a gold bar or something else, not of jewelry. Then I have $10,000 cash and I do not have any trade goods. So here I have reached the nisab by consensus because 100 grams of gold is above nisab. $10,000 cash is also above nisab. So we have reached the nisab. So total equivalent cash I have is 87 times 100 plus 10,000. So that becomes 18,700. And this is way above the nisab. So if we do zakat calculation by according to Hanafi madhab, is going to be 18,700 times 2.5%, which is 467.5. But if I have, or if I prefer non-Hanafi madhab, and if the gold that I have is for women's personal use, in that case, the zakat is going to be just on the cash. There is no zakat on the gold jewelry. So the zakat is going to be 10,000 times 2.5%, which is $250. You can see the difference. Here is 467 and 250. Just because the gold is either exempt or not exempt, depending upon what madhab I am following. And as I mentioned, it is better to follow Hanafi madhab because actually in this case, that position is stronger and safer. Okay, next slide. Example number 2. Let's say I have 10 grams of gold jewelry, which is women's gold jewelry. And here the person is a woman. She has 10 grams of gold jewelry and $10,000 cash and no items for sale. So here also nisab reached because if we add all 3 items, it's going to be more than nisab. And if we follow Hanafi madhab, the total equivalent cash is going to be 87 times 10 plus 10,000, which becomes 10,817. So the zakat is 2.5% of that is 271.75. But if I follow non-Hanafi madhab, then this gold jewelry has no zakat. So total equivalent zakatable cash is 0 plus 10,000. And so zakat on that is going to be just $250. So this is the 2 sample calculations on how to calculate zakat on gold, silver, and money or currency. Okay, now some questions. Yesterday, this question I missed. Is zakat payable on diamond jewelry or other precious metals? Yeah, so as mentioned, that there is no zakat on them, even if the stone is more expensive than the gold. But if we intended to sell, I actually mentioned this condition also. If I intend to sell them, then zakat is due after a lunar year, if the item is still on sale after 1 year. But if we all have already sold, then of course then that cash gets added to my existing cash, and I have to pay zakat on the cash. Now, the second question we have, this question is interesting. Yesterday, one brother sent to me that how a person can evade part of the part of the zakat, that one person has 85 grams of gold. So he decided to give 1 gram of gold as sadaqah just before his zakat due date. So then he has 84 grams of gold. So then he does not have to pay zakat because it is less than the nisab. So that means he actually saving 1.125 grams of gold, because if he had 85 grams of gold, so 2.5% of that is 2.125 grams. But now that he doesn't have 85 grams of gold, he just have 84 grams of gold. So he actually does not have to give zakat. Technically, he evades the zakat and he saves 1.125 grams of gold. And Allah knows best whether his intention was to evade zakat or he just gave and did not realize. Whatever the case be, his account is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But in this dunya, he is not liable to give zakat because he has fallen below the nisab on the zakat due date, which is the weight of the gold is 84 grams. And these type of loopholes are there in many places, many of the zakat calculations. And this is, in my opinion, this is by design by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is how Allah tests us to see who is seeking that loophole and trying to evade zakat. So that's just my opinion on that. Okay, then there is another question. Can zakat amount be split on last 10 days of Ramadan to get reward of Laylatul Qadr? So yes, yeah, if my zakat due date is, say, Sawal first or later, meaning that after Ramadan is my zakat due date, then also if there is another person who is really needing the money, who is zakat eligible, and he didn't ask me for my zakat, then I can get the reward by splitting the zakat on the last 10 days of Ramadan, because Laylatul Qadr can fall on any of these last 10 nights of Ramadan. But if my zakat due date is, say, Ramadan 19th, then technically zakat is overdue. Right? If it is 19th of Ramadan, zakat is overdue. Then it is questionable whether or not, I'll get the reward. And that Allah knows best. Because all I can say that his zakat is overdue. So it is better that we should then set our zakat due date as Sawal first or later after Ramadan passes, so that we are basically trying to give the zakat in advance and can split that zakat in the last 10 nights of Ramadan. Okay, any more question on this gold, silver, currency before we move on to trade goods? Now, next category is zakat on trade goods or merchandise, urud tijara. Trade goods are always zakatable. The hadith is very clear. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that give zakat on whatever items you put on sale, anything that you intend to sell. And these items has to be halal items, of course. So what is the zakat amount for those trade goods? Zakat amount is 2.5%. If the nisab is met, then zakat amount is 2.5%, just like currency or gold and silver. But if my items, the items that I sell is a haram item, like if I sell wine, pork, idols, do I have to pay zakat? Actually, no zakat on them, because haram money needs to be disposed of as quickly as possible, and we need to repent from the haram earnings. Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that Inna Allah tayyibun la yuqbalu illa tayyiba, that Allah is pure. Inna Allah tayyib, Allah is pure, and Allah accepts only that which is pure. Since this earning from the halal selling of halal items are haram items, these incomes are haram incomes. So this money is haram money. This is not pure money. Allah does not accept it. So there is no zakat on those, but we just have to dispose of those money. The same goes for interest also. The bank interest that accrues, even if we do not want, sometimes bank interest accrue, we just have to get rid of those. There is no zakat on them, just getting rid of the whole money. Next, zakat on stocks and shares. Zakat on stocks and shares. This is a big subject. Let me give some background about the stocks, as we all know also, but there are some different background. Maybe it will be helpful. What is a stock? The stocks are partially trade goods. Stocks are partially trade. We are talking about company stocks, so they are partially trade goods. And stock ownership actually means that I am a part owner of a company. That ownership may be 0.000000001%. Like if I have some stock of Apple, I am actually technically a very tiny part owner of that company of Apple. And that's why it is also called shares, that I am a shareholder, a tiny, tiny portion of it. And also the word stock, it originally means inventory, stock, entirely trade goods. So that's why when you go to the grocery stores and the shelf is empty, we say out of stock. Item is out of stock. That's stock. We do not have that in stock. So stock means inventory. But in current context, stock is not entirely trade goods. It is trade goods plus non-tradable assets. In a company share, when you have a stock or a share, Apple share, it is tradable goods plus non-tradable goods. So that's why if I have a stock, even if I do not intend to sell the stock, by default, a part of that is trade goods. By default, if I have stock and I'm not intending to sell, I have actually trade goods. That is why the stocks will have zakat. It has trade goods. So I just wanted to make this point clear. This stock has trade goods, so it is zakatable. And we'll calculate the zakat later on. But the second point is of the stock is that if I intend to sell the stock, then the whole stock becomes trade goods. The whole stock becomes trade goods. If I do not intend to sell, part of it would be trade goods. If I intend to sell, then the whole stock will be trade goods. Okay, continuing on that same topic. So I was doing some research about how much percentage of some of the big companies, how much percentage of their assets are current assets. Now, current asset means cash, account receivable, or inventory. They are basically can be zakatable. Inventory is purely zakatable. They're trade goods, cash, account receivable, and there are other things also that constitute current asset. So Apple has 42% current asset. So if it is, $1 trillion company, then 42% of that is actually current asset. Microsoft's total current asset is 31%, Amazon 35%, Google 44%, Tesla 40%. So these are the percentages, and of course it vary depending upon the company's business model and all that. So as you see that if I have an Apple stock, at least 40% or 60%, or here it is going to be 58% is not zakatable. Microsoft is going to be at least about 70% not zakatable. Amazon, similar amount. Google, about say 60% not zakatable. But now, most of these are zakatable. These percentages that are left behind, 40, 30, 35, 44, and 40%. But not all of it, because some of the current assets are not zakatable. So then we need another estimate to see what percent is actually zakatable. So we have here 40%, for example, Apple 42%. After that, we need to do another estimate, what percentage of that current asset is zakatable. And this is a very difficult calculation. My Sheikh was mentioning that he talked to some of the experts in the field, and they said that 33% of the stock value is actually zakatable. 33%, about 1/3 of the stock is zakatable, the trade goods. So if I have $10,000, let's say $3,000, $3,000 stock, then 1/3 is $1,000 is zakatable. 2,000 is not, according to the experts. And to my understanding, that 33% is the lowest minimum estimate. We can always give more. I mean, if you want to give more, we give more. But 33% is pretty much the lowest or lower side of the estimate. So let's do some calculations on the zakat on trade goods, stocks, and shares. Now, again, just to repeat that long-term investment stocks, not for sale. If I have some investment stocks that are long-term, I'm not willing to sell, then 33% of that stock is zakatable. 33%, this is as per the experts. If I do day trading, or I am holding some stocks for trading, short-term trading, maybe a week later I want to sell, or a few days later, if I see a good price, I'm going to sell. My intention is to sell the stock. So then 100% of that stock is zakatable, 100%, because I'm intending to sell. The whole stock is trade goods. So here is an example. So if you have $100,000 of stock for long-term investment, and this is not 401k, we're going to come back to 401k or come to 401k later on, just the regular stock. I have $100,000 stock, and this is for long-term investment. Then zakat is going to be 33% of that 100,000 times 2.5. So 33%, 1/3 of the 100,000 is $33,000, and 2.5% of that is about $833 is the zakat amount for $100,000 stock that is for long-term investment. Example 2, if you have 100,000 of stocks for trading, day trading or short-term trading, then the whole stock is zakatable. So there is no discount on that. So the zakat is going to be 2.5% of $100,000, which is $2,500. If it is 401k, which we will talk about more in details later, but just a quick mention that for 401k, we deduct the penalty and the estimated tax. After that, we do the same calculation, 33% and 2.5%. I think we're going to stop here, but let's go through this question. Okay, so the question is, I have extra house and company stock. No, I think, yeah, we discussed this question. Yeah, I think, yeah, let me repeat this question. It's a good understanding. Brother Anoman asked this question. I have extra house and company stock. I am not selling the house nor the stock. Both are for investment. Then why the house has no zakat, but the stock has zakat? So again, stock ownership means part ownership of the company, and company has trade goods which is zakatable. That is why percentage of the stock value is zakatable, and this percent depends on which company that is. As for the house is not zakatable. Extra house is not zakatable. Extra clothes not zakatable. Extra car not zakatable. None of these are zakatable because there is no hadith. We do not find any evidence of a house being zakatable, extra house, unless the house is for sale. So that is why house is not zakatable. But the stock, also my investment property, because it has trade goods, 33% or more of it is trade goods, automatically it comes under the category of zakatable asset. That is why zakat has to be paid on the stock investments, not for house investment. I hope that is clear now. Okay, next, I think we'll stop here. Just questions and answers. Any questions, anything from the floor, inshallah?
Brother Qazi, just to tell you in the chat, someone has asked, these companies also have liabilities. Will that affect? I think they're asking about the stock asset value calculation. And there's one more question in the chat. I think you can see.
Yeah, is the definition of long term? And okay, that's fine. These companies have liabilities. The stock value already reflects that. Whatever stock I have, this value, the company's liabilities are already reflected in the stock, if I'm not mistaken. Correct from the floor? If I have stock, like my stock price is $100, I'm not worried about our company's what liabilities the company has. then what liabilities Apple has if I have Apple stock. So my stock $100, yeah, that's my $100. So that's my understanding of this company's liabilities and then into stock. Is the definition of long-term and short-term same as defined by IRS? No. Here short-term means anytime I have intention to sell. That is short-term. Any time. Even if I do not sell for 1 month, 2 months, because I am continuing to have this intention. The moment I have the intention and continuing to have this intention, even if I did not sell for 1 year, my stock will still be zakatable. But as for long term, I do not have an intention. I did not make an intention. Even if I know that I will sell it at some point, I will sell after 5 years. I know that. But I have not made any intention when I'm going to sell. That is long-term investment. Okay, I hope I answered. Let me check all the questions. I hope I don't miss any questions. I don't see any other than these two. Any other question, brother?
Assalamu alaikum, Qazi bhai.
Yeah, inshallah.
You didn't mention about the taxes that we have to pay on the stock sale.
Okay, the tax, if your investment is post-tax, you don't have to pay tax. But if your investment is pre-tax, and that generally happens for 401k or retirement accounts that I do pre-tax. Otherwise, mostly people do not invest pre-tax. But here again, yeah, if the situation is that you are investing pre-tax, then yes, you have to deduct the tax for sure.
Not about 401k, Qazi bhai. Let's say I buy Apple stock, right? Let's say for $100. And now I'm selling it for $120. There is a capital gains.
Oh, right. Yes, correct. Yep. I actually thought about that. I did not mention it. Yes, right. You're right. Yeah, that tax has to be deducted, sure.
Okay, it has to be deducted. Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
any expenses, tax or penalty that government is taking, yes, we deduct.
And when we calculate the zakat, let's say based on the 1/3 value, right, for long term.
Yeah.
Then how do we don't include tax and we only calculate on the face value? Is that right?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, again, this becomes a complicated calculation. If we assume that my capital gain will be such and such, so if I take it out now, I may face such and such taxes. Yeah, you can deduct that. One can deduct that.
Okay.
Is your, generally, we don't know how much will be the capital gain. But if you have some sort of estimate that, yeah, really, I got $10,000 capital gain and the tax is going to be 30%, then yes, we can deduct that amount.
Okay. Jazakallah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, here are some questions here.
Yeah, I was wondering if the opinion for zakat eligibility on investment properties is like I've heard difference of opinion.
About the investment property?
Yes,
okay.
That investment properties are eligible for zakat.
There will be various scenarios. What you're talking about, house, right?
Yeah.
Let's say house,
like if you have a house for the purposes of a business, as in you are collecting income.
Yes.
And yeah, as opposed to just a secondary house. Yeah.
So if you have secondary house, if you are collecting rent, then that rent is zakatable, but not the house. Say for 6 months I have no rent, for example, that house itself is not zakatable, just the rent. So then in that case, it's a business, and house is used as a business machinery or equipment or tool. Yeah. So then the rent will be zakatable. That is for sure. Yeah. Not the house. Yeah. Okay. Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much for joining. And may Allah give you rewards and give more knowledge and success. Ameen.